Hello, AP Psychology students, and welcome to our lesson on motivation. Today, I would like you to start out class by thinking of and visualizing a goal that you have for your future, or one thing you know that you would really like to do. Maybe you want to jump out of an airplane with a parachute, of course, or maybe you want to climb mountains, or go up in a balloon, or maybe you'd like to be a physician someday. The point here is to think about just some kind of goal that you have. And then why do you have this goal? Why do you indeed have this goal? And that is what this lesson is meant to try to explain some theories behind that. So, motivation is our need or desire that energizes and directs goal oriented behavior. I have a desire to travel in Europe again. What am I going to do? What are my goals going to be to achieve that? Now, keep in mind with motivation, it's highly individual. We all want different things, and we can't expect that people are going to want the same things. Even our partner, for example, they're both biological needs and psychological needs. And man, when those biological needs aren't being met, they really start to take hold. And then some motivation is extrinsic. I want to do this because of what I get from it, because of money I get. Or maybe intrinsic, I want to do this because I feel good about it. And for example, I want to make good lessons for you in AP Psychology while we're in quarantine. And it's really hard actually to do that. And, I'm doing the best that I can, but it's an internal goal that I have to make this class still meaningful for you. So, some biological sources of motivation, these go back to the arguments of nature versus nurture. And the first one is instinct theory. So, long ago in the 1800s, instincts were being studied by a lot of people in early psychology. They wanted to try to identify what are these basic instincts that all humans have. And they're biologically predetermined. And so we know that one is rooting. What rooting is a baby. If I had my baby here, I'd show you, but like my fake baby, I don't have like a real baby right now. But they turn their heads in order to find their source of food. Sucking, grasping. As you can see in this picture, this infant is grasping a hand very strongly, and they could even be lifted up by their just holding on to the fingers of an adult. I remember my kid's pediatrician doing this with them to check their grasping reflex when they were just a few hours old. So, the problem is what is an instinct? And so there have been proposals that there are 5,759 instincts, down to 18, down to just 3 or 4. So nobody could really agree on what were instincts. So instead, in a biological source of motivation, we have something called drive reduction theory. This is the idea that a biological need demands satisfaction. So I'd like you to look at the graph at the bottom here. Let's say you're really hungry, okay? You are going to see, you get there in the red, your stimulation is too high. You're hungry, you're thinking, I need to eat, and then you do the behavior and your stimulation is reduced so that you're back at homeostasis until the next time you get really hungry. So, for definition purposes, a need then is a state of deprivation. It creates a drive. This is the bodily tension that we feel, and for example, hunger and thirst that arise from an unmet need. So that's the need. The drive reduction then is the behavior that we do that leads to the satisfaction of that drive and that need, and that returns the body to homeostasis. And as we've talked about before, that's a steady internal state. Now, I'd like you to think of drive reduction theory not only from just like a state of hunger or thirst, but also, let's say you just really need money. You need money to provide for the things that you want and desire. And so drive reduction theory can also explain this. So let's say that you have need from money, you feel this state of anxiety, you feel the state of unmet need. I mean, I need money. And sometimes the money is just because you need to pay for rent or for food, but that is going to drive you into looking for a job where hopefully you'll find a job, you'll be able to reduce that need state, and you will reach a state of homeostasis. So that brings us to the basic kinds of drives. We have primary drives. These are the ones that satisfy those biological or bodily needs. And they are inborn. They do include hunger, thirst, warmth, etc. Secondary drives are needs brought about by prior experience and learning. Maybe we want wealth. Maybe we want career success. Maybe we want good grades. Maybe we want to be popular at school. Whatever that secondary drive can still create a state of tension within you that will cause you to act in a certain way to try to reduce that drive. So that is the drive reduction theory. The second one here is the arousal theory. This is the assumption that humans have an innate biological need to explore and to be active. So are you one of those people that walks around and goes, I'm bored, I'm bored, I'm bored, I'm bored? Well, it's possible that you are. And so for you, what you actually need is to increase your stimulation. There are certain people, they are called sensation seekers, and I'll talk about it in just a minute. But when your level of stimulation is too low, and like I said, this is highly individual, not everyone's going to feel this way, but we seek ways to increase it. If it's too high, we lower it. Okay, so arousal theory then would state, like for sensation seekers, I need to ski the biggest moguls that there are. I need to climb a mountain. On the next slide, I talk about sensation seekers, and I have a little test for you to take. So I'm going to ask you to pause to take the test, and you will know if you are a sensation seeker. So for each of these responses, on the test, I guess you don't have the test there. I'm sorry. I will try to mail that out to you, and then you can see if you are a sensation seeker. But here is what sensation seekers desire. They have a high need for arousal. So I put this picture of a mountain climber who is climbing, I think it's Half Dome, I'm not sure, a rock at Yosemite. I highly recommend the movie Free Solo about Alex Honnold. He climbed El Capitan without ropes, and he was very calm while he was doing it, but certainly I would classify him as a sensation seeker, a thrill and adventure seeking person. Some of you need that thrill. You need that adventure. Arousal theory would explain why you want to drive a motorcycle, ski the fastest hills, do the most adventurous things you can, bungee jump off a bridge, whatever the case may be. And normally these are done within socially acceptable avenues. Some people are experience seeking. Now, this sometimes moves off a little bit, or can move off a little bit of the social norm. For some people, experience seeking is like travel and seeking out new experiences that are not eventually thrill and adventure seeking, but they can also be experience seeking as far as like using drugs or other things, like psychedelics or whatever, to increase your just your overall internal experience. There are those who are what's called disinhibited. So what happens with disinhibition sensation seekers is that they tend to work like regular, 9 to 5 jobs, Monday through Friday, and then they just go crazy wild on the weekend. They lose all sense of inhibition. They might drink a lot of alcohol. They might gamble. They might do other things. But so they kind of keep it under control during the week, and then when they have days off, this is when they're disinhibited. And then finally, sensation seekers tend to be people who are susceptible to boredom. The problem is, and if you think about here in Minnesota where we live, if there are not a lot of winter activities that you can do, and you're a thrill and adventure seeker, you're going to have a really hard time with the winter, if you're getting bored, you might have a really hard time with distance learning because you're stuck at home. Like, what the heck? That is, really boring. I think I'd rather be with you guys. So that is just something that people who are high sensation seekers have to figure out how to not become bored by finding something that's going to fulfill their sensation seeking need. And I don't recommend drugs, by the way. That's just like stay away from them. I will send you out a sensation seeking survey. I thought I had it on this PowerPoint, and I will send it out in a separate email. Okay, so hunger. Oh, eating and hunger motivation. So what makes us hungry? This has been an interest for psychologists for a long time. And of course, one of the reasons it's of interest to psychologists is because of eating disorders that we have in our society. And also, because it is a basic biological motivator. All right, drive reduction theory explains why we go look for food. It can even explain something like cannibalism. So what makes us hungry? Well, this topic was studied by Cannon and Washburn in 1912, and what was done is that I believe it was Washburn who swallowed the balloon, and what they wanted to do was put the balloon in the stomach, inflate it, and then as he started to feel hungry, he would press the button. So this is like the psychological experience of feeling hungry. Did they correspond with the stomach contractions, which were measured by whether the balloon would be squeezed when the stomach contracted? And guess what they found out? Stomach contractions do indicate hunger. However, what was been discovered since that time is stomach contractions are only a very small part of what makes us hungry. In fact, people who have had their stomachs removed for certain kinds of surgeries continue to be hungry. So why is that? Well, first of all, we have blood sugar and glucose levels. When these become low, we feel hungry. I know this myself. I think I'm particularly sensitive to this myself. If I haven't eaten for a while, I get very lethargic feeling. And people with diabetes know very well the importance of glucose. And now here's a whole heck of neurochemicals. I'm not sure how many of them would actually be on the AP exam, but I'd like to describe them for you quickly. The hunger arousing chemicals are called neuropeptide Y, and this is stimulated when we do not eat. It is stimulated by the digestive system, and this is the chemical ghrelin. And I think about ghrelin, it makes you want to eat. Hunger inhibiting chemicals are one is called ovastatin. That's the one that measures your stomach fullness, and this is why you're given instructions not to eat too quickly, because the ovastatin takes a while to sense that you're full, and then if you eat too quickly, you're like, oh dang, I'm like so full, but that's because the ovastatin hadn't caught up with the speed at which you were eating and the speed at which I'm talking today, because I'm trying to get a lot in. Anyways, PYY is another chemical produced in the digestive tract. This also senses when you have had enough to eat, and it tells you you're full. Okay, and leptin is another one. This is a protein secreted from fat cells. This also signals satiation. So the brain really is the control center for your hunger, though. We think of the stomach. That's the thing we think of. I'm hungry, I'm hungry. Well, this poor little guy, he was a rat that he had a little brain surgery, and what they did was they snipped a little part of his ventral medial hypothalamus. Remember the hypothalamus, the 4Fs: fight, flight, feeding, fornication? Well, this one has to do with feeding. There are two parts of the brain actually that control hunger. The lateral hypothalamus, I call it LON, lateral ON, LON. This part of the brain produces orexin, which stimulates eating until homeostasis is reached. It is the on signal, and damage to this part of the brain can cause starvation. And there are cases of people who have had tumors on this part of their brain, and they indeed don't have any desire to eat. I had someone that I knew told me about their aunt that had this condition, and so she had to have a very regulated diet in order to make sure that she was eating enough to sustain herself. Now, on the other hand, and there are some genetic disorders that have a problem with the ventral medial hypothalamus. This is the off signal, and this is tells us you've had enough to eat. If you don't have this signal working properly,